So it is the morning of chicken butchering today. We obviously are not going to be showing us processing the chickens, but I will show you our setup. So this is what we have set up for our killing station, and then we have our boiling water right here, which is almost at temperature. It needs to be between 145 and 150. Then we have our chicken plucker and to catch the feathers. Then this is the table we'll be working at, and we are going to try and save the feet and the wing parts for broth, and then as well as the kidneys, the liver, and the gizzards. And then all the guts will go in here. Then we have a vinegar water that we'll put them first in for 30 seconds. Then we have this first ice water, which they'll stay in for 10 minutes to cool down, and then these will be their final resting place.
Hey, so I'm so excited to be here with Faith Family Homestead and to have this experience for our family. I think it's going to be so educational and such a really good thing to do because we eat chicken.
Yeah, so we have our 8 kids here, and we are going to, you know, this is let them see the process. Our kids have seen it, like we did actually our, what is it called, roosters a few months ago, and so this will be our technically our second time, but it's our first time with meat chickens, and this will be the first time that we're actually recording it. We did have some funny stories happen our first time that we'll tell you guys about at the end. And then I think our older kids did go to a friend's house before, right? Yeah.
So all of my kids have seen this process except 2. So I guess 2 have and 2 haven't. And I've never processed a chicken. And so this is going to be a really great experience for us.
Yeah, definitely. So right now we have processed our first 4 chickens, and we are going to dip them in this hot water until their feathers are easily pluckable. And then we'll pluck them here. Oh, so now we pluck them in the plucker, and Anaya's adding the water. So these chickens is way different than the roosters that we process. They are, when we put them inside of the, what is it called, the depucker, they're coming out, all their skin is pulling off and their bones are breaking. And so completely different. We're on our last chicken right now, and I will turn you around and show you what they're looking like. So it is completely defeathered right now. So now we're going to move on to the next process. Okay, so we're going to show you. So we're cutting off the feet first.
You put it in the cooler, and then it's just cooling off, and it starts cooling.
And so we'll cut off each foot. And then we're also going to cut off the wingtips. You don't have to cut off the wingtips, obviously, but we are, so that we could use it to make broth. So next we're going to make a little slit in its neck to take out show the esophagus. This right here was not in our roosters that we processed. So that's the esophagus that we want to free from the top. And then we're going to turn it around to the bottom. That's that extra growth over there, though. Like that sack. It's disgusting.
It feels very squishy and hot. Yeah. It's very interesting.
So we're going to make a small slit right here without trying to puncture the butt part, and pull the guts out. Yeah, so that's all the guts in there. Whoa. Whoa.
No height in this chicken.
This one didn't have a heart?
They have to have a heart. And at this part you can keep the organs that you want to keep, whether it's the gizzards or the heart or liver. This is what they're all looking like.
So here's the heart.
And the rest of the guts and putting it in the bucket.
I don't want it to.
So that's the sack right there and that we don't want to puncture. So we're just cutting around it. That's disgusting.
That's where it equals.
So we're gonna save that neck to make broth with. Okay, so we have finished the last chicken and they're all in their final resting spot. So we have them sitting in here and in this one. So right now my husband's just cleaning out the chicken plucker. Baby, how do you think that went?
It went really well this time. We didn't have any headless chickens running around chasing kids and stuff.
You wanna tell, I didn't tell them that story, you wanna tell them about that?
Oh, you didn't tell them that story? Well, the first time that we butchered a chicken, we butchered like 9 of our roosters, and so we didn't film that or anything like that, you know, because we were trying to practice for the first time, see how everything goes, and we had a similar setup that time, and I was sick that weekend, and so that the day that we were butchering the roosters, my head was hurt, and there was this one particular rooster that he just kept on crying, kept on cock-a-doodle-dooing and stuff like that, and he was working on my nerves, and so we got like the first few roosters, and we were kind of getting used to it, like, you know, they were like convulsing inside the cone and everything like that, and I wasn't really expecting that, but it makes sense. And then that one was still like crying and crying out and cock-a-doodle-doo and everything. And so I was like, man, okay, you're next then, you're next. So we went and grabbed him, put him in the cone, and I cut his head off real fast, you know, and I was like happy about that. But he started convulsing, then he jumps out the cone, falls into the bloodbath, and then he jumps out the bloodbath and he starts running around in a circle. You know, he was chasing Nehemiah, a little 7-year-old. And then he came past me, and I'm just in shock. I'm looking like, oh, snap, like, you know. And so then he finally collapsed, and I just kind of waited a few seconds before I started to pick him up to make sure he was actually dead, you know. But he was, so I poked him with a stick for a little bit, and he was all good. I hurried up and brought him to Aiden so he could put him in a pot. But that was how our first chicken butchering session went. And so that was an experience. But this time, it was really, really smooth. The kids got to butcher the chickens, and then we got to process them, and there were like no, you know, extra strong chickens ready to jump out and chase people. You know, everything went pretty smooth this time. So I guess the way it's supposed to go.
Yeah, and we're done, and it's 2 hours in.
Yeah.
But I think we only had, how many chickens do we have? 12?
11.
So we had butchered 11 chickens, which is not really good. We started with 25. And none of them died like when we first got them, but as time went on, we just lost about 8 because my son said they was eating. We were moving them in the chicken tractor, and there's some grass over there, and my son said he looked it up and that it's poisonous to animals. It was called like dragon's tail or something like that. I can show you guys, but he said that they died with it hanging out of their mouth, and so he's thinking that was what killed them, by eating the poisonous weed that's over there. And so we lost 8 chickens in one day, which was like a week ago. This is what it looks like. It has this white tail, I guess, hanging out, and it's all over this area where we had them through. And my son came out one morning and said 8 of them had all passed away. So we had heard about what is it called, these Cornish cross having issues with like enlarged liver, enlarged heart and stuff like that, and having heart attacks and stuff. And so I assumed that they had a heart attack, but I didn't see them. My son had already discarded them before I came out. And so either they died from enlarged liver or heart or whatever, or from eating that poisonous dragon tail. So obviously that was a big loss, and so we didn't get as much chickens butchers as we want. And then I forgot to weigh all of our chickens, but the last one I weighed was 6 pounds and 8 ounces, and there was definitely ones that were in similar weight. And I do have more meat chickens coming, 25 more in August, and so I I had already planned to get them, but I think after that I will not do Cornish cross chickens again. I think I will try more of a heritage like the breasts or something else, the Red Ranger or something. After meeting our friends, the Naked Gardener, and interviewing with them at the homesteading festival, and them saying how good it was, because I haven't had good experience with these Cornish cross. It's my first time doing meat chickens. I think it went really well, but it is a learning experience. And we also forgot, you're supposed to not feed them for 24 hours before you're going to butcher them, so that all of their pallets or whatever is all clear, and we did not. We forgot to not feed them, and so they definitely still had grass and grain in them. So what do you think about us butchering the chickens?
We already did.
I know, what do you think about it?
It was fine.
It was fine? What part did you not like?
I didn't like, I liked all of it.
Oh, you thought all of it was fine? Okay. So what did you think now that we're finished butchering the chickens?
They're very fat.
It was very fat, yeah. I weighed the last one, it was 6 pounds and 8 ounces.
That sounds heavy.
Yeah. Yeah. So what part did you not like? Or everything was fine?
Everything was fine except the feathers, because they're keep on flicking at you.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
I have to duck way down so that I can be on your level.
So thank you so much for coming over and helping me butcher the chickens. Taqueshia was getting all those guts out because those guts is squishy.
So that was an interesting experience as far as just sticking my hand in there, and it was so hot, like, and obviously it just came out of hot water as well, but you know, like, I just wasn't expecting that, and so it was a really good experience. I'm so happy that I've learned it just hands-on, so that if in the future we decide to get meat chickens, I won't be intimidated by it, because I'm definitely a hands-on person. So reading information just on the computer, like, would not do me the best. And so, and I can always look up a video, but it's so much better to just hands-on and see it with your own eyes and touch it and, you know, smell it and have all the experience, because that's really what truly makes it a great experience.
Yeah, and we looked up lots of videos before starting, and I was still so confused about like what those parts were and like where exactly they talking about, like what is the esophagus, what am I cutting, what I'm not supposed to cut, until you like really in it. And I was wondering if like that sack at the side was because we forgot to not feed them yesterday, if they were still like digesting, because we because all of them had it, you know, and it just seemed like there was like food in there. Yeah. And so
mush, because if we think about the grain, if they do they eat grains, or is it just grass? Okay, so yeah, because it was very much so like a mushy type of substance, and so that's good to know for the future.
Right, yeah, just to remember, like, not feed your chickens before butchering them, which we totally forgot. And so I was definitely, and then the difference between like the roosters and the hens, like their parts.
Yeah, definitely. When I got those 2 balls in my hand, I was like, oh, this is definitely a rooster, you know. And so you're not thinking about the fact that they're going to have some extra parts, or you know, things like that whenever you're dealing with a hen or rooster. And I actually didn't know either with meat chickens that you could have roosters and hens. I didn't realize that. I thought that they were just all going to be the same, since you can't like mate them and create an egg. I was just surprised that when I had those, you know, the testicles in my hand, I was like, oh.
Right, I didn't even think about that either until Taqueshia found them. We're like, oh wait, this wasn't in the last chicken. And so definitely something different. And then I think it went really fast. I appreciate all the kids' help and stuff, because I feel like last time we were at like 5 hours or something, and it was just like nine roosters, and maybe 5 or 6 hours, but it was our first time, and we were just like, we didn't know, and so we kept stopping and trying to look at videos and stuff like that, and just trying to figure out like, what are we, like, is everything out, you know, like, is it clean, you know, we don't want to have like, you know, organs still inside of our chicken. And so all of that just took longer. So this time we were a little more familiar, and so it went by a little faster. Of course, we had more hands and kids and stuff like that willing to help. And then I don't really like touching the squishy insides. Like, I don't mind, you know, cutting it open everything else after that. But pulling out the insides is like so smushy. I don't really want to do that. So I'm very happy that I had help doing that last time I did too. I tried one time and then I felt it and I was like, this is so like a texture person to me, like Jello, or like I don't like Jello, I don't like jiggly stuff. So for me the jiggle was like, no ma'am, like no, I don't want to touch the jiggle.
I didn't mind pulling out the inward parts.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
I didn't mind pulling it out. I just didn't really want to look at it while I was doing it. And so I guess for anybody, you just have to find, you know, like what's your thing? Yeah, what works for you. I mean, because it has to be done.
Right.
And so you just have to find, you know, a way to get it done, or just figure out what part you can do.
Yeah, what part you can do. Like I know, like I can, you know, do all the other parts, but it's like, but trying to pull those guts out, and like somebody else needs to do that for me, which is fine because I have Taqueshia, I had, you know, Nehemiah, Anaya, like all the other kids, you know, that want to pull out guts gladly.
Shiloh did not. Shiloh was like,
Anaya
no.
did too though. Yeah,
Yeah.
she pulled out
She was
out
like
guts.
trying to rip it out,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Prince's hand couldn't fit in.
Right, big growing man hand.
Yeah, his hands couldn't fit in. So, but we did have help that wanted to, you know, and some that didn't, which is fine because as long as you do something else, you know,
Right.
like Shiloh, you know, was spraying the water, you know, on them. And so if you could just find, you know, a group and y'all all pick y'all station,
Yes.
I think that definitely works out for you. And so,
And we would love to come back over, you know, and help you anytime, like whenever you guys get your next batch.
oh my goodness, that'll be like in October. And so, but you know, that festival's in October, so maybe we'll do it when we come back, or a little early, depending on how big they are. And I definitely want to do some things differently just to like ensure that we don't have so much of a loss, because I thought we had 12 chickens, but they said it was actually only 11. So that's definitely so much chickens when they didn't die when they were first here. So like when, you know, like in the mail or anything, like all of them survived. And so definitely want to, you know, get our money's worth next time. But we are happy with the amount, just the process and the experience to know that, okay, we can butcher chickens, that we can have our chicken, and just like looking at it, like you see the chicken walking around, but I never think of like a naked chicken or like a chicken that you're gonna put in the stove when it's feathered. But then it was like, it got de-plucked, and I'm like, this is like regular chicken that you know, you get from the store, which, you know, it's just good to put your mind in that.
Yeah, it's like such a connection.
Yes.
Like, wow, like, you know, and that's what I really wanted, you know, for the kids, was to make that connection of this chicken that you see walking around is that same chicken leg that you're eating.
Right.
Like, make the connection and respect the process.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. And so for me, even as an adult, it's just like, wow, like this came from a chicken that we just saw walking around, and then now it's like a raw chicken, naked, with no feathers, and it looks just like the chicken you get from the store, and it's like mind blowing, obviously, because we're first generation, you know, homesteaders, first gen, like we don't know any of this. Obviously we didn't grow up like this. And so I just think it was a really good experience. And yeah, I'm glad we're getting a break though from the meat chickens, and we can I'm glad we done with that. Moving on, we have chicken in our freezer. They have to sit in that ice water for up to 6 hours minimum, to just cool down and stuff like that, and get as, you know, cool as possible, and then we can shrink wrap them. And then I'll also probably start my broth tomorrow with the legs and the necks and stuff like that. So
okay, so and you'll just keep those things in the refrigerator or the freezer until tomorrow? Yeah,
they're gonna stay inside the ice water until
even the necks.
Yeah, even the necks, they're in there too. And then I'll probably start that process tomorrow. I'm so happy that we finished because the sun is beaming right now through these trees, and so we want to start as early as possible too, because the side of my house stays shaded, and I'm so glad we did, because now the sun is coming out and it's super hot. And I know
I'm over here dressed like winter because I got my boots and I got all the things, because I was afraid of the mosquitoes coming out, but there actually wasn't bad.
Yeah.
Like, and the flies weren't either, and I was really surprised at that because I thought it was going to be really bad. But overall, such a great experience.
Yeah. So thank you guys for hanging out with us and coming along on this journey. I know we made lots of mistakes and all the things, but whatever, it's fine. We'll learn as we go.
Yes.
But we'll see you guys next time. Bye.